Best practice presentations. The first presentation is Empowering Student Success in Education, presented by Dawn Johnson and Arthur Tingley from Erie Business Center.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see everybody here at the lovely conference. I apologize for the morning, the early morning. We're not used to being here quite this early, but I was trying to fit in all of the wonderful things we had going on. So I do apologize for being about an hour early. Today I'm going to be talking on empowering student success in education. And we have, as most of us probably know, we have a global problem that we're starting to see. One of the things we're seeing is high attrition rates for the nursing students. How do we keep the nursing student? How do we keep them empowered? How do we keep those numbers, from the time they start to the time that they end the program? How do we keep more than 50% of those students? That's really a huge problem, I think, among all of our schools that we're seeing. Low number of nursing graduates, lack of minority nurse graduates, and graduating adequate numbers of competent and diverse nurses that are proven to be able to take up the challenging task that's put forth for them. And now that we're seeing a increase in the NCLEX plan, we haven't really seen an increase in the number, but we've seen an increase in the critical thinking. The bar's gone up. The ability to, when they finish school, they have got to be able to go out there, take that test, and be able to critically think at a higher level than at one time they used to have to. And what do we do to try to help get them to that point? And how do we try to keep that attrition? Well, I have a plan. So, nursing student attrition, non-traditional students, I did some research, and article just recently came out, and what I basically saw was that non-traditional students, which a lot of us see, have been one group of identified individuals that we see that have increased risk for attrition. This group is described, as many of us know, as the older adult coming in, the ethnically diverse student coming in, or those who are entering into college at varying degrees of academic aptitude. So I think a lot of us really see that problem, is they're coming in and they maybe didn't do that great in high school. In high school, just didn't really think I was going to go to nursing school later. So, or I didn't have really good study skills, or it might even be the school that they went to, So we see in our area that our city school students coming in have a more difficult time with study skills than our county schools. So I don't know if you see this in your counties, but we do see it in our schools. So, localized problem that we're seeing. Poor study habits. We're seeing low self-esteem, little or no support systems coming in, lack of resources available, lack of knowledge to be successful. How do I be successful? They know they want to do better. Many single parent households, how many of us have those students? They're coming in, they want to do better for their children, they want their life to be better, but they don't know how to go about doing it. And so the biggest thing that I have come across is, I guess I got in my mind was, I can put forth for them here, this is what you got to do, and if you don't do it, I'm going to put you out, and guess what, they're going to keep floating around the colleges, and they're going to keep trying to get in, especially if they want to be a nurse. Next thing you know, they've been in that, or I get the student who's already been to this school, it didn't work, they went to this school, it didn't work, now we've got it. Well, they've racked up thousands of dollars in student loans. It's a huge problem. So, the plan that I put into effect, and my instructors have worked very, very diligently beside me into helping with this plan, was by understanding the current problems that we have, especially the attrition rates, we're identifying the at-risk student characteristics and attempting at increasing their success, which I think is what all of us want for the student. Obviously, we know that we can put the tools forth for them. They still have to utilize those tools. And sometimes, no matter what we do, you know, that student might not be successful, but if we can get to 5 more students in a class that we wouldn't have gotten to, that we could help, I think that's wonderful. So Area Business Center Practical Nursing Program has put a plan in place that would increase the success of the students. So, in the beginning, when I started this, over the past 5 years, and that's when I first became administrator of the program, one of the first things that I did on the first week of class, we had them do something that's a theme poster board. My big thing is bring them in, build up their self-esteem. First thing we've got to do, we've got to want to motivate them. We want to inspire them. And so their theme is my motivation, inspiration is. And they have to provide this poster board. And then the student presents it, and I put it on what I call my walls of success. So the reason for this is to do team building. We want them to see that they're here to remind them why they're in the program. When they fail the test, when they are tired of being there, when they just are exhausted, when we see that burnout rate coming around level 3, level 4, we start seeing just they're burned out, they're to look up at that board and remind them, why am I here? Okay? So, and then on the last day, that pride of taking it down from the wall, that I've succeeded. I've done this. So, as you can see here, we've got some boards that I've taken pictures of. And everybody has a different, board. Obviously, they create their own board coming. And we see all kinds of diverse boards coming in. But it's what they feel. It's why they're there. It's their inspiration. And my walls in the classroom are just filled with these boards of all my classes. And the whole idea is, and the nice thing about that is I get a lot of students that are coming around who just are trying to decide where to go to school, and they get to see these. So it's nice for them to be able to see, why are they here? And I remind them of this. I remind them, you're here for your kids. You're here for career. You're here for God. You're here for, all of these things you're here. This is your reminder of why you're doing this. It's to try to keep you going. I think we all need that. We all need to be encouraged, right? So it brings the students together as a team. It's not about me in my class. It's about us and our program. Helps the students understand they are going to school for many of the same reasons. This is my class. I have 3 different classes going. I try to do some team building. I want it to be we. I don't want it to be, well, this is me and, they're them, and it's the team build. Stable, life, family, life, love, all the things that are here to help them feel this is the thing that they're bringing in, saying this is what's going to help me achieve my goal. So as you can see, there's lots of different reasons that they come in. So the second thing we did is about 2 years ago, we started, of course, another problem we saw was self-esteem was one, and then we started study habits. We know study habits, they come in and they just don't know how to study. They don't know how to take a note. And obviously that's a problem because we know that they're only going to retain, 20% of what they hear in class, if they retain that. And that's if they're not doing homework while they're listening to the class. Does that sound familiar? So student feedback was, from the class was helpful. And we decided that, we put the tools in place, but not necessarily, we're identifying, they're telling us that they have a hard time studying, but they just don't know how to go about making that change if they didn't do it from the beginning. So I reviewed the problem and basically decided the student needed to understand, talk to the instructors, what are we seeing the problem, what's the biggest problem we're seeing coming in? We're seeing problems like the medical terminology. They're coming in, if they don't have some medical terminology coming in, they don't have that beginning language of medicine in their beginning exams, they keep failing their questions because they don't know what they're reading. Huge problem. We have a medical terminology class that's 15 hours, but is that really enough? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to try to start getting to them a little sooner prior to coming into classes and coming up here, I'll tell you what we did with that. Basic math, how many of your students have math anxiety? How many times have you heard that one? That they freak out because of math. You even mention math and it causes them such anxiety. A big problem, again, we need to be able to go back and almost review those basic math skills with them, and they need that instruction to do it. I think sometimes we expect them to go and just to learn it, review it, and come back, and some of them just can't do that because they never had good study skills to begin with. So I decided we needed an extensive study skill workshop. If we started out early with success, I hoped that they would come in and we would help keep that success going. Needing a support system is another thing. A lot of them don't have that support system in place. How many times I've lost students because there just wasn't nobody there to help them. Babysitters weren't there. They had nobody to talk to. Nobody to go to figure out resources. And a lot of us, I know, we offer that to them, but they need that positive reinforcement to really kind of be met with on a fairly frequent basis, at least in level 1, to make sure that they've got a mentor to kind of make sure they're staying on track, because we're trying to change a learned habit. You know, how many of us see that change in them as they grow through the program? You see them day 1 and then they come out and look at how much they've grown. Well, wouldn't that be really cool if we could, in the beginning, really get a jump start on that success and really see that end result? We get them there. If we give them a great base to come in, then we can help them with the end succeed. So we identified a need to have a student success program, and I planned for a voluntary prep for success classes. And what I did was, I offered classes weekly, 4 hours for a month prior to classes starting. And I literally went through workshop. I did medical terminology 2 hours every night, so they got 8 hours of medical terminology. We got those beginning terminology before they started classes. And then the other 2 hours, I did things like math review, I did study skills, time management, changing, how are you going to change your life around to be able to manage everything, work, and children, school. And I helped to revise that plan with them, so that in the beginning they might say, oh, I'm going to study 4 hours a night. Realistically, they're saying that, right? And then they get home and realize, how am I going to do this? But then if we keep on talking to them, they journal, and I check for that success. What are you going to do different this week that didn't work last week? Okay? If you couldn't do 4 hours, realistically, you started out thinking, I'm going to do 4 hours, it didn't work. So what are you going to change that you didn't do? Let's revise that. Let's do a short-term goal and a long-term goal. Long-term monthly, short-term week, just something small. And then just keep on building. Nice thing is when they get to care plans, they really give that short-term, long-term goal because you've been working along with that, right? So this is basically how my first, the last class that I did. This was study skills, medical terminology. Then I did study skills 2, medical terminology, math skills, terminology, and then writing and English skills. A lot of our programs, they don't know how to write a paper. They don't know how to do PowerPoint slide. They don't know how we say to them, here is a format of how to do APA format. And half of them don't know how to do it because they kind of need a little bit of instruction. So, follow up. So half of the class attended this Prep for Success classes because it was voluntary initially. So only half came, but so far I've lost 1 student. This is the first class that I don't have to do any remediation with, and I have a 92% 3.5 or greater. Almost all of them are close to 4.0 success.
Wow.
I'm like so excited. This is wonderful because obviously they have come out and they've got this jump start into success, and they're doing wonderfully. So the plan basically is that future success is going to be, we're going to include this for all future students. The program implementation will include group meetings and individual mentorship. I'm now looking at mentorship from another class, like our seniors, that are doing well, having a little mentorship going there with, you know, someone that they can talk to, that's their peer. And each student's going to be provided a binder that will include 8 learning modules. I want to get to the students who couldn't come and try to get more of them there. Obviously, with half the class coming, it's shown a huge attrition rate so far. I've usually lost, Martha, what are we about a quarter by the time we finish out of level 1? So we've already dropped a bunch of people. We're not even dropping. I've lost 1 student since they've started. They're finishing their first level. They're very strong, and for the first time in 5.5 years, I do not have to do any remediation. And to me, that's huge. That's huge for me. So the modules are going to have things like introduction, learning style inventory, test taking strategies, time management, budgeting, student stressors, positive coping mechanisms, you know, how to organize. And I would be glad in the future to show those share the modules with me, with you guys, as I, you know, pull them together. Problem solving, simulation, critical thinking, moving forward, and then future plans for success. And then the student's going to journal through the program and continue to meet. So conclusion is that Erie Business Center is going to continue to offer these Prep for Success classes. We will take a step further with the modules to include all students. And I would like to try to make it a mandatory part of the program. If I can get half of them there, I want to really get all of them there. Because I think, again, it really helps us get to know them prior to classes starting to figure out those problem students, identify them early on. Because if before classes start, they can't even come to those to show that they have a desire to try to, you know, meet that, to come in successful, then you have to start, is that going to be my problem student? And so basically, I'm going to take that and and statistically measure that. And hopefully in the future, I can, you know, share that with you as well. So, any questions? Yes?
Do you charge for the, okay. So why do not more of them come, do you think? Do you think it's just the time element?
I think it's a time element. I do think, you know, when the students who did come, I think it was a time element on the admissions end. You know, they did the calling, they did the, you know, what I would like to do, and this is what I'd like to do, is try to reach out to the students and find out what's going to work best for you, that's going to help us get you there. Mm-hmm. If it's, you know, work schedule, because, you know, a lot of them work, so
if, get that in before they
exactly, because if we get out to them sooner, give them more notice, will that make it so we have a better success of them coming in? So my plan is to really reach them early on as soon as I can.
And is it all you done? Are you the person who does it, or does your faculty?
I am right now the one that did the Prep for Success classes, yes. So initially, I am, but I'd like to, you know, to eventually help the instructors as part of that as well. Yeah, so.
Tell me again how many sessions you had and how long?
They were 4 sessions. They were actually 4 Fridays. I did them 4 Fridays weekly for a month, and prior to classes starting. That actually helped reduce my orientation time too, because I already got to them and did a lot of things during that time that I was able to not have to do with orientation. Because initially, what I did do, because I started identifying, you know, study habit problems, and I would include that with orientation, but I just realized that it wasn't enough time. They needed more time. You know, giving them an hour how to study it's not enough. And having them do things that are going to help them. So yeah, I think that that definitely was a help. And they work 4 hours for each week. Yep, so 4 hours in the evening, and that's what they go. This program was the evening program, so that's what they would normally be going 5 days a week initially, so 4 hours. So I kind of left it at that same time they would normally. They'd start 1 day a week, and it kind of works their way up to it. So, yes.
Any plans for charging for this in the future?
You know, we kind of discussed that. We threw it back and forth between with ourselves, and actually, because it did so well, the other part of the school, the non-nursing part, is now incorporating it, because that's a huge problem school-wide. So I think in the future, we're kind of throwing that to see if it might be something to do. We're gonna continue to really statistically watch this and see, and if we can roll it into their tuition as well.
Do you think any of these modules could be offered like in an online format?
Yes, I actually talked with my director. We discussed that, because that would be great if we could do something online with them prior to them even coming. Because if we can, and they could almost start doing an online format and submitting some of that stuff and getting to know them prior to even coming to class. So, which I think is a great idea. Yes.
What was the reaction for the students that didn't attend when they found out that
They were saddened that they weren't able to come. You know, a couple had voiced, boy, I wish I would have come, because I gave out handouts and I did things with them that the other students, you know, had, and they were kind of envious of that because they had that jump on, you know, especially when we got to medical terminology. Well, they already had 8 hours on the other students, so there was kind of like, you know, wow, I wish I would have really, you know, made that opportunity to be able to come and be able to do that. So definitely they showed some desire to have wanted to be there. So I think on that end, it helped me realize that I really need to try to make this kind of a mandatory thing, to make them all part of this, because I want them all to have that success and feel like they started on a good foot. So, yes.
Just a question. When you, did it affect, like some students did the terminology class, some students did not. Did it affect you when you were teaching in the class? Like some students understood what you were talking about, so, and some students did not. So did you have to like slow down and explain the whole thing again?
No, we didn't have to do that. When we did the terminology class, we were able to do the terminology like we normally do, because we didn't want to take away from the students who weren't able to come. But it just made the students who did come, it made them stronger because they tested better. So they remembered, they had that additional time to have that ability to study and look at those words and that repetition. I've seen that word before, I know this word, I know these prefixes, I know these suffixes, and they did it better on the test than the ones who didn't. But we still, it was a review for the ones who came to the other classes, but it reinforced what they already had taken. So, any other questions? Thank you so much.